Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Bobby Adelson Jr. I'm the Public Affairs Officer at the U.S. Embassy in Kingston, Jamaica. We are so happy to be able to speak to you all in the audience today, live on Facebook. And we're very, very thrilled as Women's History Month comes to a close to be able to speak with someone today that the U.S. Embassy thinks embodies leadership and women's empowerment. And so, again, we're very, very thankful to be joined today by the Executive Director for Jamaica AIDS Support for Life, Kandasi Walton-Levermore. Kandasi.
Hey, Bobby, good morning, and thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Well, Kandasi, I want to go ahead and get started. So thank you so much for joining us on the Facebook Live today. We'll be here for about 20 minutes for the viewers at home. If you want to leave a comment, if you want to ask a question, please put it down in the comment section below, and we'll try to get it answered during this interview. So to kick things off, Kandasi, tell us what you've been up to. Tell us what Jazzle's been up to, and give us a recap of what's been going on with your programs.
Right. So as you said earlier, I work with Jamaica AIDS Support for Life. I've been its executive director over the last 10 years, and our organization is really focused on working with the Jamaican population to ensure that we preserve persons' rights and dignity, to access HIV services, and to ensure that persons have an opportunity to be their full selves. And of course, we work with those communities who sometimes are left out. They are marginalized, and we focus primarily on HIV/AIDS prevention, treatment, care, and support. So if you know anything about Jamaica AIDS Support for Life, you'll know that we have our head offices here in Kingston, but we also have offices in St. Anne's Bay in particular, and in St. James. Just is really a cool place. We're a non-governmental organization, but we're able to make a big impact in the country. We have a very strong prevention program where we are in your communities. We're out there across the length and breadth of the country, giving out HIV education, ensuring that persons have access to safer sex commodities. We do our different messages. For example, now we have our campaign that's running, Do It Safe, the Jamaican vernacular of do it safely. So Do It Safe is what we're working on in this 6-month period of the year. We work with a lot of communities. So we focus on those persons that we think are most at risk. So of course, persons who are in sexual relationships with multiple persons. We work a lot with sex workers. We work a lot with communities that are at risk because of just who they are. So we do a lot of work with gay men and transgender persons. And so it's a really robust program that we have. We work a lot with pairs to get to other pairs. And in our treatment program, this is something we're very proud of, Bobby. We have clinics in all our spaces. We provide services for our community of people living with HIV. And we are proud of it because our clients are able to benefit from our comprehensive health and case management model that we have here at JASL, and PEPFAR would call it differentiated care, where basically we focus on the individual and work with that individual to achieve not only their best HIV outcome, but their best life outcome. And, I really am proud of the work that we have been able to do, especially in the last 5 years in this area. We have over 800 persons that we provide first-line HIV treatment services to. And I must tell you, we're doing well. There are some areas we'd want to improve on, for example, getting more persons to viral suppression so that we can meet the PEPFAR and UNAIDS targets of 95. That's just really saying 95% of the persons are aware of their status, and of that 95%, another 95, they are actually on treatment, and of those on treatment, then 95% of those should become virally suppressed. And so when we talk about that work, we talk a lot about U equals U, because an undetectable is equal to being untransmittable. But not only that, when someone is undetectable, they are able to have just the best life, you know, in terms of managing their health outcomes, and they can live full and fulfilling lives. And on top of that, they are not able to transmit the virus onto someone else. So we do a lot of that. But for that to work for JASL, we really package that with some strong psychosocial support work. So we have our nice staff. I must tell you, I'm so proud of the JASL staff. They go above and beyond to ensure that what they are able to provide to our clients helps them along the way. And so we are very proud of that work. But a part of what we do that sometimes does not get highlighted, we are strong advocates as well. We are the ones that try to hold our country accountable, hold our government accountable, bring the issues to the fore that affect our communities, especially our target communities. And we do that in our program that we call Enabling Environment and Human Rights, where we literally take the complaints from our clients, whatever they tell us, and we ensure that we help them to, you know, get redressed by partnering with other NGOs, for example, Jamaica Network of Seropositives, or even Jamaicans for Justice, to see things through. We do a lot of position papers around the issues that impact our clients. So, for example, you know, stigma and discrimination is a huge issue in Jamaica still, although I must tell you, Bobby, we have come a very far way. But we still maintain the cause for us to have our persons living with HIV enjoying their best life. So they should not be discriminated against in their homes, in their communities, in the workplace, and the society in general. And so we work with partners, we work with the government to ensure that we minimize this. And primarily we work with communities to understand the HIV epidemic so that they will see that there is really no need to discriminate. So if I'm trying to wrap up JASL in a nutshell, I pretty much I would have covered. So we do HIV prevention, HIV treatment, care and support, and we definitely enable the environment and focus a lot on human rights, especially for the most vulnerable and those that are highly impacted by HIV. So people should feel free to, you know, continue to contact us and reach out to us, and we're always here, willing to, you know, give a helping hand.
Well, Kandasi, thank you for the recap of everything that JASL does. It seems like you guys have a robust system in place for support, treatment, and care for people who are living with HIV in Jamaica. And you mentioned a couple of other issues that are of importance as well. So I wanted to shift to some of those other issues that I don't think you quite touched on, and that's gender-based violence. Tell me about some of the work that you guys might deal with on that front.
Wow. So initially, you know, gender-based violence, we took this on as a real issue that we had to address about, you know, 7 years ago, when we recognized that a lot of our women or female clients, they were not doing very well. And when we did the focus groups with them to kind of get an understanding as to why it is that they were not doing as well as, we thought they could, we recognized that there was an underlying issue, and that was the issue of gender-based violence. You know, persons were not necessarily empowered in their relationships. They had the fear of violence. They were experiencing violence. And so we got to working in this area, and we have seen it all, Bobby. I mean, you know, just recently in the country, there is the case that's happening now, the one with the lovely Shanice Jackson, a young woman. And those are the issues for us. We say we want the country to really turn the outrage into actionable items. And it's an area just earlier this year, we launched our Accessing Justice reports here, this purple book. The links are on our JASL pages, where we spoke at length about what we are seeing in the context of HIV, how gender-based violence is impacting that work. And so one of our big things when we actually participated, we went to Parliament and we made our parliamentary submission around the review of the sexual offenses and other related acts, you know, for some amendments to be made. And here we are today, we are still saying, yes, violence is an issue. Yes, it's a societal issue, but we have to start somewhere. And we're asking our leaders to, you know, look seriously on issues such as the sexual harassment, act that we've been crying for. Because if those things existed, then there would be a place to report it and to actually bring persons who are, meting out this harassment to women to a place that they understand, listen, it is not acceptable. Also, we want things to be well defined in our legislation. So there's a Domestic Violence Act, and we are saying, there are very many limitations to the act. And if we just start at providing a comprehensive definition of what domestic violence is, that alone would help the police officers. I mean, we know the work is not going to happen overnight, but we continue to talk about it every year on international, on the IDEVA, International Day for the Elimination of All Forms of Violence Against Women and Girls. We have staged our peaceful protest to ask the country to stop violence against women. We continue to be in the spaces. And of course, a big part of what we do is to provide the services here for women who are experiencing violence. We provide all of the psychological support. We do a number of empowerment initiatives, and we also provide things like small grants to women who are in our key groups to, start their income generating activities. So there are a number of programmatic things, but we're just one NGO, and the issue is really a national issue, and we're asking for others to join us in this regard. I mean, there are other NGOs working. Of course, there's Women Inc., there's E4 Life. Many times we join up to ensure that, we stretch the buck a little further, would say here in Jamaica, Bobby, and we're able to meet more women where they are. But there's definitely a limitation. I mean, there's a limitation in terms of shelters for women who are experiencing abuse. And so we are calling we've always been calling on our leaders, and we're a very strong voice saying, listen, man, we have to do something about it. We can't just, every time we have an unfortunate case, then we have this outrage. And in Jamaica, we say this 9-day wonder, and we don't want this to be a 9-day wonder. We want sustainable actions that will not only prevent persons from, issuing violence against our women and girls, but at least to respond as well to women in their time of need. So that's an issue for us, and especially here in March, as we're looking at International Women's Day and Women's History Month. These are things that we really need to propel and to get some results going. We need some tangible pieces now from our government to get some of these things in place. So, yeah, we're here.
So speaking of stretching the buck, Kandasi, I know that over the years your organization has received some funding from the U.S. government, as well as the U.S. President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, otherwise known as PEPFAR. Can you talk a little bit about the impact of that partnership?
Wow, the impact of our partnership with the U.S. government. I must tell you, you're kind of a new kid on the block. USAID was Jossel's first donor. Back in 1991, when we started our hospice, USAID was was our first donor, and so we have a long history of working with the U.S. government to get the work of Jossel out there. And I always say, we cannot say Jossel if in saying Jossel we don't acknowledge the support that we've received from the people of the United States of America. And I mean, in the last, say, 17 years since PEPFAR, my math might be off, we have been partnering with PEPFAR, and that has gone a far way. Right now, through USAID, we are recipients. We are the first ever NGO to get in Jamaica to get what we call a cooperative agreement with USAID through PEPFAR, and we are celebrating that, and we're happy. But it says a couple of things. One, it shows that the work that Jossel is doing is important work, so much so that, our partners can see the work and the impact of the work. And it also says that Jossel has made use of the support that it has received from PEPFAR and U.S. government over time, and it's demonstrated in our capacity to deliver our services. Currently with PEPFAR, we are able to deliver a big portion of our HIV testing services, not just for Jossel, but Jossel, as the Crime Award, has 3 sub-recipients under our cooperative agreement. We are working with ASHE, Children First, and Jamaica Network of Seropositives to propel the work of NGOs along the lines of HIV testing services and case finding. and we are also supporting our treatment work. One of the biggest things that PEPFAR has been able to do, as an NGO, we never had, for example, a medical director. Here at Jastle, it was something that felt like a pipe dream. We would never have been able to do it. And with PEPFAR support, understanding our challenges and making our representations, and with USAID, we now have a medical director. And I can tell you, Robert, since we have added that component to the work, we would have seen how our whole treatment program has moved with that type of a support. The clients tell us every day they are so appreciative of the clinical services aspect and how comprehensive it is. So what I appreciate a lot about PEPFAR is very results driven. I must tell you personally, I'm very results driven, and Jastle is results driven. And so they want the results, and we want the results for our clients. And so it has made it a very good relationship. PEPFAR loves to see that what they are putting their investment in, they're reaping their rewards, and they listen to us on the ground to say where next we think we should go for us to see improvement. So for example, issues like communication that we never were able to focus on, to use, for example, all this Zoom and virtual platforms to get our messages out, tapping into things like a Facebook Live and ramping up a social media presence. I must tell you, a lot of that is because of PEPFAR support to help us to put people behind those initiatives to get the word out. And so we're very proud of our associations with the US government and with PEPFAR and USAID that we find as real partners. One of the things about the partnership, the last thing I'd say is we really get an opportunity to be not just valued, but our voices count. Because when we say it cannot work, but this can work, we're given that latitude, but make sure it works. And we are grateful for that because it has helped us to pivot over time, to do new things and to get the results that we all are hoping for.
So as you bring up PEPFAR, we have a comment from the audience we wanted to pull up. This is from Dr. Tommy. Keep up the good work.
Hi, Tommy.
Love from the U.S. to Jamaica. I love my work in Jamaica as the deputy PEPFAR coordinator. My service to Jamaicans. Bless up. So that's coming in from a former deputy PEPFAR coordinator.
Hi, Tommy. I remember her so well, Bobby.
Thanks for tuning in, Tommy. And we also have a quote that was sent in from someone that I think you know well and who's a colleague of mine. This is from Victoria Nybarger, Caribbean Regional Coordinator for PEPFAR. She says, when I think of inspiring women, Kandasi immediately comes to mind. She is a leader, a fervent advocate for human rights, and a voice for those who are not positioned to speak for themselves. It's impossible to know Kandasi and not admire her. Over the past 3 years, I've had the honor of working closely with her to support people living with HIV in Jamaica. Under Kandasi's leadership, Jamaica AIDS Support for Life has grown even stronger, providing life-saving services to thousands of Jamaicans. Kandasi has challenged me and our embassy team to best serve those in need. I'm so grateful for the guidance and wisdom she has shared. Kandasi, you are an absolute treasure. Women's History Month is a perfect time to honor you and to say thank you. Again, that's from Victoria, our Caribbean Regional Coordinator for PEPFAR.
I don't know why Victoria wants me to cry. Thanks, Victoria. I've received all that I give. I'm telling you, and it has been such a pleasure to work with Victoria and the PEPFAR team. Always listening, always engaging and asking the questions. And even in moments when they know I strike a hard bargain. And even in moments when I'm like, please listen to me, and I'm being hard on them, they really do try to come and to strike that balance. And that's what I have appreciated about this partnership. It's really a partnership where it's 50-50. They give, they get, I give, I get. Just the benefits, the clients benefit, the country benefits. And really, that's what we want. Thank you, Victoria. I miss you. I haven't seen you in so long.
Hopefully you and Victoria can get reunited in person as we hope to close down on this pandemic. But as we start to wrap up, Victoria called you an inspiring woman. And again, we're wrapping up with Women's History Month. You've been the executive director of Jazzle for 10 years. And as we know, you guys are at your 30th anniversary. Can you talk a little bit about yourself and your time with Jazzle and your time as a leader in Jamaica in terms of what you've accomplished, and also what are your thoughts on some of women's leadership in the future in this country?
Wow, that's a loaded question, Bobby. But
yes,
I'll go back. I'll go back to my first week at Jazzle. I started at Jazzle in January 3, 2011. I remember the day and the year as its executive director. And I must tell you that the organization, the board, I have to say, at that time, I was a very young woman. I think I'm still young. But if I'm so young now, can you imagine how young I was 10 years ago? I think they took a chance on me to say, let's see what you got. You talk a good talk. Show us how you're going to transform this entity. And I must tell you, they have really given me space to, implement my ideas, to bring the organization along, and they have provided the support. So when I came to Jazzle in 2011, it honestly was not this organization that a lot of people know now. But what Jazzle had from the beginning was its mantra of love, action, and support. And I got that to work with when I came here. And because they are, embodying this love, action, and support, it gave us an added drive to know that whatever we were doing it with this mantra in mind, and doing it to ensure that the communities really experienced this love, action, and support. And so in my earlier years, as we were struggling to find, a program outfit, funding to keep things going and to improve on things, I have really benefited a lot from even the government of Jamaica as a partner, PEPFAR, USAID, and also we did get a lot of support, especially from the Ministry of Health. And so we have been able to achieve, if in my leadership, I must say, sometimes I don't like to own it, but yes, we have accomplished a lot. We have reoriented and reorganized our entire program structure here at Jazzle, to make things way more results focused and client-centered, and ensuring that what you get in Jazzle Kingston, you get in Jazzle Montego Bay, you get in Jazzle St. Anne. We have standardized our programs. We have, increased our capacity in many ways, institutionally and technically. At Jazzle, one of our proudest accomplishments, we were able to move from a situation where we became homeless in my tenure. Yes, where I started. 2 years in, we got notice to quit the property because it was being sold and we could not afford it. And so we went into a period when we were literally homeless. We had nowhere to operate from in Kingston. And again, partners were very helpful. When I went out to do my pitch, envision this organization and what we are and how much more we could be. We did get a lot of support to get Jazzle to where it is now, where we are owning our own space and we are well established. And, I use this as an opportunity to say, it's not just Kandasi. I know the Kandasi piece would be, yes, I am going to, if I set my mind to it, Bobby, I'm going to achieve it. I don't believe in can't. I wasn't raised that way. And even as a woman, I went to an all-girls school. I went to Westwood High School, and our principal, there was just no limitations put on us. And I always say, you don't meet a Westwoodite that is not a leader, because we were trained that way. And then imagine, you can't meet Kandasi who is not a leader. My mom is a leader. My dad is a leader. And so it's just a part of me. And so as I've taken on Jazzle, what I do, I remember the first week I was in my office, I wrote down 5 things that I wanted to achieve in 5 years for Jazzle. and I was able to do it. And I was so elated when that actually happened. And it said to me, no man, you need one next set of things. And so what I do every time I feel like my list of big ticket items for Just is coming to an end, I add things to my list. Before Just, this is my longest job. I usually only do 3 years. I always say I'm a short distance runner. I'm not a long distance runner. I have so much to give. I can't do it in one place. But the truth is, Just is so dynamic, and we would have evolved so much that every single year or two, the challenge gets going. And so I have to, rise to the challenge over and over. I have to pivot. I have to, we call it boom flick, kid pupalik, all those things to keep the organization where it needs to be. And I would say to other women, don't limit yourselves. Don't think that there's anything that is not suitable for you. Once you have a plan, you have your goals. I am very spiritual, not religious, very spiritual, where, I believe that if you put things out, there's a greater person that is listening and that will align things for you. And, I'm a Christian, but I'm not necessarily religious. I always say I'm not the Christian, how people think about it. But I'm very spiritual. I believe in prayer. And I also, Bobby, I must tell you, I've not done this alone. I have not done this alone. There have always been people. By the way, I remember in my early years at Jessel, I relied heavily on the Jessel founder, co-founder Ian McKnight, and my board. When it was difficult, I relied heavily on my partners at the Ministry of Health. I have relied heavily on my partners at USAID and PEPFAR over time. From it was Dr. Knight Johnson. Now we have Althea Spence. I mean, the team has always been out there and helping. And I must tell you, one person that, sometimes I don't shout him out as much, Dr. Kevin Harvey, at the time he was with the Ministry of Health, and Samuel Sutherland. In our early days, those persons really mentored me and guided me and was able to help. And so I'm very grateful. I've always said, once I write down my paper, the things usually align and God usually puts things in place for me. And so I've never really thought of being a woman leader. I'm just a leader. And so, to whom much is given, to whom much is expected. My family expects a lot from me, but they also provide a lot of support to me. I always say I have a full system of support. I have my parents are still alive. Hi, mommy and daddy. And my sisters and brothers, they're all there, always rooting for me and giving me the support. So it has been a journey. But just the staff, I tell you, I boast about my team, the people who would have come through tenure or that came before me, they are usually people that are, I tell them, they're select people. They have special skills. They give a lot. And so when I come to the team and I say, this is what I'm thinking, what are you thinking? And we carve out a vision, they've always been able to rise to the occasion with me. So it's not just me. And I would say, there are so many women here at Jessel, and there are men, of course. But I would say just go for what it is that you want. Don't just wish things. You have to be very you have to be very determined when you set things out, and you have to be willful. So you can't just want things. You have to work to achieve them, and that's what I do. And as any woman, if you do that, nothing will hold you back.
Well, those are great final words. We're coming to a close here, Kandasi. Again, we're inspired by you. The U.S. and PEPFAR have been happy to have this partnership. So we thank you for everything that you've done and everything that your organization has done in the community and in Jamaica. So thank you so much for coming on our show today.
Thank you so much for having me, Bobby, and hope to physically see you sometime.
Same here. We're all hoping that day will come soon. To the viewers that have been watching, thank you all for tuning in, and have a great day.
Thank you. Have a good day, everyone. Bye.